what it do? Oh, they forgot my gimmicks. It's me. It's that wrestling dude coming all the way from Spain. First international guy, Joe Panther the third. Watch out, man. You ain't about to be the only international guy out here. Jake Koby, man. Welcome. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yes,
It's my pleasure.
absolutely. Thank you. Let's get right into it, man. Who trained you? How long you been in the biz, and where you based out of?
So I was born in Ukraine, but I got my training in Belarus. It was done by the guy who went under the name Billy Rusty Nail Hazard,
Mm-hmm.
and I was trained around 2011. So I've been wrestling on and off since then.
All right, you're
And
up. Go ahead.
yeah, sorry, just wanted to finish that. Yeah, I live in Spain right now, but haven't really got back into the ring after a couple of years because of the war and moving and all this stuff. But I'm getting to get back there and already talking with people, so hopefully soon.
It's awesome. You were grew up a fan of wrestling.
Oh yeah, yeah. I saw wrestling on a VHS tape when I was like 5 years old,
Okay.
and then it was on TV, and been a fan ever since.
What was your first exposure? Like WWF?
Yeah, it was King of the Ring 1993.
Okay.
Yeah.
How'd before I go any further, man, how'd you learn English? Through school or you just picked it up on your own?
I started playing video games as a kid, even
Mm-hmm.
before school, and because we didn't have any in Russian or Ukrainian, I started picking up words here and there. And my school, uh, they like you could choose, like you can go to like a class that has like deeper learning of math, or you can go like to linguistics class.
Okay.
And I went to the linguistics class, so yeah, I learned English a lot in school, and I also actually went to university. And my diploma is the English teacher and English literature.
Oh, that's
So
awesome then. That's smart on you to get another language under you.
yeah, yeah.
How
I
many
guess languages.
how many do you speak?
I speak Russian, Ukrainian, English. I can understand Spanish, but not talk a lot yet because I'm still learning. And I also studied Hebrew when I was in university. I don't really like speak it, but for example, I can read and like say if they wrote something in Hebrew, but it's actually like I don't know name of the city or it's just an English word written in Hebrew, I will understand it.
That's awesome, man. And that's one thing about us Americans, man. It's so stupid. Like they just think English is it, and they only learn English. Like I speak English and Spanish. I'm Puerto Rican, so my parents always spoke Spanish. But I always tell people that like you're so dumb. Like all you learn is English. Like everyone in the whole entire world, they at least speak two languages.
Yeah, I mean, like even in Ukraine, like a lot of people still spoke like Russian because it was like part of the Soviet Union and all this stuff. But also, it was mandatory to learn like either English or German or French. I know some people learned that, but yeah, so like two, three languages at minimum.
When did you know you wanted to be a wrestler?
Mm, I think it was like always like a pipe dream ever since I saw that VHS tape. I was like, yeah, I really want to do it. I want to try it. And then a guy found me over the internet in like 2006 because I had like some wrestling tapes that I was like sharing online. And he like started talking to me and he's like, hey, we're doing this backyard wrestling stuff. And I think it was like, oh yeah, that's cool. I want to try that. And that's how it all started.
Backyard wrestling in Ukraine. I'm so curious to see what that looks like.
Oh, I mean, like we started our first show was like in a friend's place. We just put the cushions from
Mm-hmm.
the couch and wrestled on that. Then we upgraded to the school gym and wrestled on mats. And then eventually we found the ring. Well, actually, a guy who always wanted like to promote wrestling. He didn't have wrestlers before, and then he found our group, and he's like, "Hey, I'll build the ring if you come and wrestle with us." For me, I mean, and we were like, "Yeah, of course." So yeah,
So was
and I
wrestling Was wrestling big in Ukraine, or is it just like a small community?
No, it wasn't big at all. Most of the wrestling exposure was through the TV, and there was like this. At first, they showed WCW, and then they showed WWE, and it was done like more like in comedic style. The guy who was the Russian commentator, he kind of made like stupid jokes and all this stuff. So like everyone was like, haha, he, you know, not like taking it very seriously. I know like for a fact that there were like a show back in 1989. New Japan had a show in Moscow
Mm-hmm.
before the Soviet Union dissolved, and I know in 1993 FMW did 2 or 3 shows in Siberia, which is also like kind of crazy. But yeah, wrestling wasn't like a thing at all, and it was super niche. And even this guy, he wanted to promote wrestling, but because he couldn't find any male wrestlers, he was like, I guess, you know, thinking about different ideas, and he found some girls who were doing combat sports, and he took the female wrestling trainer,
Mm-hmm.
gave her like tapes of wrestling, and said, "Can you recreate that?" And he started promoting women's wrestling in mud. And they, like they were like attractive girls, but it wasn't like your typical mud wrestling with girls where it's just
Yeah.
cat fights. They could actually kick some ass, and they like made this weird distortion version of wrestling that they promoted for a long time. Then we came in, and they didn't change like part of their show, but they also like were part of our show. So I also had like a lot of experience working both male and female talents.
Yeah, I seen I saw a couple of your clips on YouTube of you just manhandling some females, like slamming the shit out of them.
Yeah, but I mean, we were always cool with them.
Yeah, 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 of
And
course.
yeah, one of the girls, her name is Lana Nevo. She actually wrestled, like I think she wrestled in like Sweden. She wrestled in Jordan, like in Israel. She went like some places, and she's a really cool girl. And she was one of the girls that I helped to train, and we worked a lot of times together. And it was always like really cool. She's one of my favorite opponents actually, because she was always like super easy to work with.
Yeah, because I grew up on Attitude Era, gravy matches, mashed potato matches, and I fucking hated that. Once Trish Stratus and Lita came on, and they're actually going at it in the ring, real matches. Like to me, that's way 100 times better than a bra and panties match any day.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Was it easy for you to transition from backyard wrestling to wrestling in the ring?
I mean, it was a certain adjustment because we didn't know how to work ropes and all this stuff. So we kind of made B. And when I found out in Belarus, this guy who was training pro wrestling, and actually to this day, I don't even know like where he picked up all of his stuff. But fun fact, he actually his promotion in Belarus, they were part of Zero One from Japan, and
Mm-hmm.
he even brought the Zero One Japan promoter. And I wrestled a match and the referee was this promoter of Zero One Japan. And he also went to Japan himself, and he trained catch wrestling at Yoshiaki Fujiwara Dojo.
Okay.
So yeah, it's like absolutely crazy, but somehow a guy in Belarus was this knowledgeable, and he really taught us a lot. Like he taught us like how to properly bump. I mean, we knew how to fall on our back, but he also showed us how to properly do front bumps and all this stuff. He showed us how to work with ropes, and he also taught us a lot of catch wrestling stuff. Like to this day, I tell like people, especially like guys in Ukraine whom I still like coach online. I like tell them, hey, do you know that Irish whip actually can be used as a real shoot technique? Like you can break someone's arm if you
Yeah.
do it like slightly differently, and they always like, wow, how? And then I show them, and yeah, it's weird how it all happened.
Who would you initially break in as? Like, what was your gimmick?
Um, well, my first gimmick was Yashka the Gypsy.
Okay.
which is like I don't really have a lot of gypsy roots, just maybe like a little, but I guess it was like the promoter. He smoked a lot of weed, and he came up with a bunch of wacky gimmicks.
Yeah.
And because we needed to appeal, to a not very smart crowd,
Yeah.
it was just something silly that they could comprehend. And I think it was also a reference to like an old Soviet movie, which is actually titled Avengers,
Okay.
but no relation to Marvel at all.
Okay. Okay. Did you
Yeah,
wear
yeah.
anything? You wear anything ridiculous as a gypsy, or just regular old tights?
I had like a white shirt with frills, like Jerry Seinfeld had in one episode.
The puffy shirt.
Yes, yes, exactly. And I wore the shirt, but I also had like just regular red tights. And I had for a couple of times, one of the promoter's brother gave me his like bullwhip, and I started coming out with that. But I think like after fourth entrance, the whip started like breaking
Yeah.
at the tip. So he's like, okay, let's not let's not damage it further.
Yeah.
I wasn't
No.
really very careful with it because one of my inspirations was always Bruiser Brody.
Yeah, I
So when
love
I
Brody.
made my entrance, I was always like breaking stuff. Like I have like at least dozen of times where promoter would come after the show to me and say, "Hey, you broke the chair or I broke the table just during my entrance,
You
not even like during the match."
got to set the
So
vibe
yeah,
though. You got to set the mood when you come out though, like Brody.
yeah. I am like I just get in the zone. Like I remember we were on Got Talent Ukraine, uh, which is also like another fun story, and we were like discussing like okay, we were like doing this tag team match on this TV show, and the guy and I'm not like very I didn't have a lot of tag matches, and this guy tells me, okay, we need to make an entrance as a team, and of course I enter the mode, and as soon as the music hits, I just like run away from him and just do my stuff. And when we're in the ring, he comes over and he says, hey, why did you fucking run away? And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. I just got into it.
How far did you get in that contest? Ukraine's Got Talent.
We actually got to the semifinals and we
Oh
were
no shit.
live. Yeah, but we didn't go further to the finals, but still, we have like two videos from it.
No, I mean that's awesome to go to the semifinals as a wrestling act. Like that's yeah, it wouldn't make it past the first round here in the States.
Yeah, probably. Well, I mean, because wrestling is super known in States, so yeah,
Yeah.
no one like really cares. But they were like doing this extreme sports season,
Mm-hmm.
and they had like these like motocross guys, or like they were just like doing really like weird stuff. Like they had like this gymnast on like elaborate like structures doing stuff. And the funniest thing is that finals were just a guy singing in the extreme season, and a little girl dancing. So you know but I guess they were like, okay, this is like most of the stuff that they brought in. They also wanted to like tour with it
Mm-hmm.
in the country, like and they were like, okay, this is gonna be too expensive, to show this shit, and so we need something simpler, and
Yeah.
that's why they got the singing guy and a little girl dancing.
Yeah. No, I
And
mean
yeah,
it makes sense to like lug around the ring all over the towns and stuff. Like, it makes sense.
yeah, yeah.
And then it's
Yeah,
it's
and
hard.
our semifinals, we had like this plot of like Running Man. We had like this leading guy and leading girl coming in a cage, and at first he wrestled in like this makeshift, like a backyard Mad Max ring. Then the
Mm-hmm.
girl wrestled in the mud, and then he like went to the third ring and he wrestled on our ring already. And then he went like upstairs to hit like some button. It was like, really goofy and quirky, but it was fun.
They gotta be different.
Hmm.
Who were some of your influences? Like you mentioned Bruiser Brody. Who else did you kind of pull from when you first started wrestling?
Uh, I really love Mick Foley. And I don't do like a lot of his stuff, but just like, in general, his passion for the business was always like super inspiring to me. I pulled a lot of stuff from Super Dragon because I just loved his moveset and all the stuff, even though I'm not as crazy as him, at
Yeah.
beating people up. And one of the more obvious comparisons was always with Kevin Steen. He was
Yep.
always like a guy I would like take stuff from. And for whatever reason, my mind defaulted, at least in the beginning of my career, I think for a couple years. As soon as I made the entrance into the ring, I would do like a great mutaton, like, and I don't know why. It was just like so automatic. And
Yeah.
over time, I was like telling myself, okay, you need to stop doing that and come up with something else because it's
Yeah.
just stupid.
No, but the thing is too is since wrestling's not that big in Ukraine, you can kind of like steal from everybody, and people would think, "Wow, he's original. Look at that cool things he's doing," and they wouldn't even know that you took it from somebody else.
Yeah, that's true. But it was always like, my goal that I don't want to be like only local to Ukraine,
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah,
I want to wrestle somewhere else.
yeah,
And I need to come up with my own shit.
yeah. Did you ever do any death matches or hardcore matches?
No, not really. I wanted to do a death match at some point, but not like I don't want to do lamps. I was thinking either barbed wire or thumbtacks,
Oof.
but it never came to it. We did some like light, old school hardcore like chairs. I think like at one show we just had like a bunch of household items that we hit each other with,
Mm-hmm.
but it wasn't like super crazy. I'm not really into hardcore.
Yeah.
Um, I don't mind saying that I'm a pussy. I don't want to bleed in the ring.
And same,
That's
same,
not for
same.
me.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I have
No,
respect for the guys who do that,
yeah.
but it's not for me.
No, of course. And then because wrestlers, you guys are crazy as it is, but those deathmatch hardcore guys are on a whole nother level of crazy.
Yeah, it's some of my friends they tried light tubes and they were like, yeah, it was okay, but for me it's just not worth it,
Yeah,
especially in the backyard.
yeah,
When they tried it back then, it was like, come on, guys.
yeah, yeah, yeah. What was harder for you, the physical aspect or the character work, the promos?
Hmm. It's like it depends. Like character work is always like something that I super anxious about.
Mm-hmm.
Like even though some stuff comes out naturally, I'm still, my own worst critic. And I'm always like, okay, I could have done something better or something else. As far as physical stuff, maybe like not so much, only like just pain afterwards, or some dumb bumps that we took. And I was like, okay, that was stupid. Like one time I landed like on my head and felt all my vertebrae like crack
Oof.
a little bit.
Yeah.
And I remember lying there and thinking, okay, why the fuck did I just just do it? So, but yeah, other than that, I guess character work gives me the most, makes me most anxious, but it's
Yeah.
also something that I'm kind of proud of because usually, as I said, when I go into the zone, I always get praised for it. So I guess it's something I do that works.
All right. I saw you wrestled in Israel.
Yeah.
What was that like?
It was. I mean, it was pretty fine. It was my first like international booking, if you
Mm-hmm.
don't, count going to Belarus, but it's like almost the same as Ukraine, so
Yeah.
it wasn't like it didn't feel super alien. But yeah, in Israel, I was just there on vacation with my wife, and I reached out to the promoter and said, "Hey, I will be like in town. Can I wrestle?" He said, "Yeah, of course." They were nice. I knew some of the guys online, so they were pretty welcoming. They gave me a green guy to wrestle with. I think it
Mm-hmm.
was an opening match. I asked like I came to the promoter and I said, "Hey, would you like to see? Like what moves can I do? Who goes over?" I was very like polite and stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, the crowd was actually decent, even though it was like super basic match. I think
Yeah.
they reacted pretty well, and the guy I put the guy over and they cheered for him, so I guess it was pretty fine.
Hey, did the job.
Yeah, yeah, I'm like part Jew, on my father's side. So I guess it was like kind of like you know, I don't know, like if you would wrestle in Puerto Rico, kind
Yeah,
of
yeah,
the
yeah.
same.
Absolutely. Coming home, kind of.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I had
Yeah,
some of my friends over whom I haven't seen for a couple of years at the time, so it was really cool to wrestle
yeah.
in front of them.
What's the I don't want to say craziest or strangest, but like, what's the most unique venue you've wrestled in? Because like again, I saw some of your clips on YouTube, and some of them places look like I don't want to say weird or strange either, but just different venues than what you normally see wrestling.
Yeah, I would say that uh weirdest. Okay, so one time we wrestled in like this it's just like a regular like Soviet arena like in front of the stage. One time we wrestled, we had the ring on the stage itself and people, like in theater. But I
Yeah.
guess I saw clips like in United States from venues like that, so I guess it's not like super weird.
No,
But
it is weird because I've seen it before too. Because it's all the crowds like all in one section just facing you, which has got to be kind of weird, right? Because the reactions all coming from one place, and you got to like
yeah, yeah,
focus all your attention because you can't be in the back right corner because no one's gonna see you back there.
hmm yeah, yeah. You're like always working just this
The
one side.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, and but the other time we wrestled in a similar setting. But what was weird about it is that our locker room was actually like a praying room.
Okay.
It had like a huge cross on it, all the stuff.
Yeah.
And me being me, there was one guy, and I told him like, hey, he was like completely naked, and I said, hey, before before you get dressed up, can you just stand in front of the cross and I take a picture? And of course he's like, yeah, yeah, of course. So he goes there and we take a picture. I don't know if it was our fault, but like a week later, that whole building burned down.
Oh, no, I'm not gonna say it was your fault. I'm not gonna say it was your fault.
Yeah, yeah. I guess that was the only weird one. I wrestled at the flea market in the United States in Florida,
Okay.
but it's like probably pretty normal
Yeah.
around wrestling, to be fair. Yeah, other than that, just regular normal buildings, mostly bars.
Yeah. What part of Florida did you go wrestle in?
I wrestled in near Tampa at
Okay.
I think it was actually in Odessa, Florida, or
What-
something like that.
I know Odessa. Yeah, yeah, that's a place.
Yeah, so
How'd you get there?
so I was working for this company, and I was on a business trip, and I knew this guy from the backyard wrestling forum. So I reached out and said, "Hey, do you have like any promotions I can wrestle at?" And he said, "Yeah, actually, we run our own promotion like from this flea market in the ring. Like
Mm-hmm.
they booked some like local indie guys, and yeah, so I wrestled there like 3 or 4 times, because I made like couple trips
Yeah.
over a few years, and I got to wrestle like 4 or 5 times there.
You remember what the company was called?
Yeah, it was called Project Wrestling,
Okay.
and they are not around anymore. They've been around for maybe like 2 or 3 years. So, but all the guys are still wrestling. Actually, you might know the guy. He wrestles in the Indies as
Mm-hmm.
Unnatural Causes.
Yep.
Jeff Yeager. That's the
Yeah.
guy who I worked for.
Okay. How'd you like those American fans? Were they different?
I mean, it was slightly easier to get a reaction
Yeah.
because usually in Ukraine people are more reserved and they don't really like understand wrestling,
Yeah.
fully. So they don't know how to suspend their disbelief,
Yeah.
how to interact with the bad guys, with the good guys. So yeah, wrestling in America was slightly easier in that aspect.
Yeah. Especially at a flea market like that, they're probably half drunk anyway. So.
Oh yeah.
You said you're in Spain now. Why Spain?
No particular reason. When we left Ukraine, I contacted a company that I worked for, which is like American software IT company,
Mm-hmm.
and I asked them, "Hey, I was planning to go to Germany, where my sister and mother lives right now. and they said no, Germany is too expensive, and they gave me a list of countries, and me and my wife we looked at them, and we were like, okay, Spain seems like the most interesting,
Yeah.
because other other countries were like either Bulgaria or something, very close to Ukraine,
Yeah.
and we were like, okay, let's change our lives completely. let's
Yeah.
let's go somewhere. We didn't even like plan living in Spain. Like we didn't even like plan going here for vacation. I don't
Yeah.
know.
No, but I've heard
But now we're
Spain
like,
Spain's beautiful too, so you picked a good place.
I mean, yeah, I definitely like it here. The people are nice. I like the food. The sun.
Yeah.
Or like
You're not gonna freeze your
it
ass off in
definitely
the
gets cold.
wintertime.
Yeah, I mean, it gets cold in winter, but not as cold as back in Ukraine.
Yeah.
I really don't miss having snow in the winter.
I don't blame you.
That's Yeah. So I like it here.
Yeah. What do you think is the biggest difference between Ukraine and Spain? Outside the obvious, like it's cold in the winter and snowy.
Hmm. I mean, I would definitely say the people. They are more cheerful. We have some Spanish friends, and they are more open. They less bitter about life.
Yeah.
I mean, not like everyone in Ukraine is like bitter at life, but I guess it's just like this Eastern European mentality.
Yep. Yep.
And even like when we spoke with the people, with the girl from Czech Republic, we spoke with people from Hungary. They all share like this sentiment, like yeah, people are more angry, more intense in the Eastern Europe than here. Yeah, here is like super laid back. You get out of your house at like noon, and people are in the bars drinking beer. It's weekday,
Yeah.
Tuesday, even Wednesday, and bars are always full with people
Yeah.
drinking beer.
Yeah. No, those European countries had a lot of hard years, man. A lot of hard years.
Yeah, and they still go,
Still going.
apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What's the wrestling scene like in Ukraine right now with the war going on and everything? Is it still able to have shows like that with no problem?
Actually, which is, I guess it's like weird way of karma working or whatever. But currently in Ukraine, I think it's the best time for wrestling, because our guys, they make shows in Kiev. They actually starting to move to a new schedule. Before they would do like a show a month, but now they have a deal with this place where they wrestle, that they need to do two shows a month. So it's gonna be a bi-weekly shows, and they actually like have 300, 400, even like 500 fans almost
Oh
every
no
show.
shit. Damn.
Yeah, because when we started out, we had like at our first show, we sold only one ticket.
Yeah.
So there was only one paying fan watching us. And at best, we would get like 20, 30 people. It was always like small crowds. The only times we would get bigger crowds if we go and wrestle at like a music festival or a Comic Con. There we would get like a decent crowd. But yeah, right now our guys, just pure wrestling show gets 400 people, 300 people. It's really crazy. Like,
Yeah.
and the production values are like off the charts. Our guys found like a whole team of camera people. They even have like a producer guy who's sitting in the back. He's watching the feed from all the cameras, and he's giving them like instructions on like the microphone, because they have like an earpiece, to say like, hey, go there and prepare to film this spot, or like go there and film these guys brawling outside. So yeah, it's actually really really cool.
Yeah. And of course, now that you've gone, now they're drawing 400 or 500 people.
Yeah. Thanks.
And now that's the Ukrainian Wrestling Arena, is what it's called. The promotion's called.
Yes, sir.
All right, and they actually have a show tomorrow in Porter Pub in I'm gonna mess this name up. Uh, Zyanska. How do you say
Zelyanska.
it? There you go, Zelanska.
Yeah, that's the name of the street.
Okay,
The show is actually in Kiev, which is the
Kiev. Okay,
capital.
okay. So the Zelenska is actually the street there. Okay, now the
Yeah,
Kiev's
yeah.
up in the northern part of the country.
Yeah, like it's like slightly off center up north.
Okay, and that's in Porter Pub, so that's in the actual bar then.
Yeah, it's like it was like a huge, I guess, factory that they
Mhm.
repurposed into a bar.
Oh, that's awesome.
And yeah, but now our guys, after they strike this deal of doing bi-weekly shows, they actually changed part of the building. Like they have the permanent place for the ring. They have like a guardrail. They build an entranceway. They have a huge Titantron. It's really cool looking.
Yeah, that's cool. And they're on the shows are all online on YouTube.
Yeah, they are available on YouTube. When the new show comes out, they have like I guess 2 or 3 weeks when they are available for the people who like pay membership. But
Mhm.
after a couple of weeks, they go. Anyone can see them.
Okay. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I got to check that out on YouTube just to see what the whole setup is because that's interesting.
Oh yeah.
A factory turned into a bar with a wrestling Titantron and everything. That's got to look so cool.
Oh yeah. I think you will love it. And one of the funniest facts is we actually have an American wrestler wrestling for UWA, and you might remember him. His name is Diehard Dustin Lee.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so apparently he was in Ukraine, and one of our guys accidentally met him. He didn't even knew who he was. He just said, "Hey, yeah, I'm from America, and I was a wrestler one time." And then he said, "Yeah, maybe like shoot me a message." And when he shared like in the group chat, I was like, "Oh shit, that's the guy. Yeah, I know him." So yeah, and he came out of retirement. I mean, if he wasn't one, I don't
Yeah.
know.
I don't
Like
think
because
wrestlers ever retire.
yeah, well, he didn't wrestle, I think, since 2007 or something. And since last year, he's been in the death matches in
Oh
Ukraine.
no shit.
Yeah, because we have a couple of guys who do death matches. They even have the extreme title. And actually, the show that's gonna be tomorrow, the main event is going to be Dustin Lee against Ranger Leonid, and they are gonna wrestle for the title, I think, or for the contendership at the title. But it's gonna be a hardcore match.
Oh wow. I need to check that out. What was he doing in Ukraine? Working?
He came over. I guess he came over to make like a vlog
Oh,
about
okay.
Ukrainians, help to like fund the Ukrainian army and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He works as like a teacher, English
Yeah.
teacher at speaking club, and yeah, and he was also like he has like this design company where he does
Okay.
like design work,
Yeah.
selling like t-shirts and stuff, and he also did some designs in collaboration with UWA for our guys. So yeah,
That's cool. You ever wrestled in the snow?
in the snow, not really, but
Okay.
but back in the back. Well, actually, no, I did. Because when we were backyarding in between wrestling at the cushions in the apartment,
Yeah.
when there was snow outside, we would go and wrestle in the snow. So yeah, but not in a professional setting.
Yeah. I was wondering that you take them outside because I remember watching. I want to say it was a Raw from like 1999 where it's like Hardcore Holly and somebody and Al Snow. Maybe they went outside in the snow and it was like poor guys out there freezing their ass off in that snow, getting suplex onto the snow embankments. It's got to be so terrible out there.
I remember one of the later backyard shows before we got the ring and stuff. We had two guys wrestle each other, and the stipulation was that every 2 minutes they will do a shot of tequila. Like, I think Necro Butcher did that in Iowa Mid South back in the day.
Yeah.
That's where I got it from.
Yeah.
And I actually was on camera, and and whenever the match started like lacking, even though it wasn't 2 minutes yet, I would give the signal for them to drink a shot, just because I knew it will be more fun. And and I actually was the mastermind. I spoke with them, and it was like freezing. It was like below 40, I think, outside. So I came to them and like, hey guys, it would be really cool if you go outside and finish the match in the snow. They were hesitant at first, so I was like, okay, let's take a shot of tequila and think about it.
What
And
up?
after a shot of tequila, they were like, okay, let's do it.
What up? What kind of tequila? Is it like Ukrainian tequila or is it actual imported from like Mexico, one of the Mexican ones?
I mean, it says it's imported from Mexico, but I guess it's just like some cheap tequila.
Okay.
So yeah, we weren't like very, rich to buy
Yeah,
good
no, no.
tequila.
Hey. I'm just curious to know, like, because that's a long way to go from Mexico to Ukraine to import some
Yeah, I know.
tequila.
I mean, I think it was Sierra, but I don't know if it's like legit
Yeah,
Mexican tequila or not.
they just said it was.
But even the referee took a couple of shots with them.
Nice.
Yeah, it was a crazy day.
You ever had any crazy fan experiences? Anyone try to fight you or try to stab you, anything like that?
No, unfortunately not. And I'm saying unfortunately because, I worked a lot as a heel, so it would
Yeah,
be really cool, to get into this kind of altercation. But
yeah,
no, usually fans were always cool. I mean, I always scared a lot of kids.
yeah,
And I remember after one of the shows, um, I think Grandpa was with his kid, and this kid wanted to take a picture with me, but he was like really scared.
yeah.
So I kind of, decided to play it out like, hey, I'm not really scary, let's take a picture. But yeah, like, or I remember one time at the show, I broke the guy's nose. I told him to duck the clothesline, and me being me, either like stupid or whatever, but even when I expect someone to duck a clothesline, I still throw it, maybe like even harder if I
Yeah.
would, hit it. So he didn't duck properly, and I broke
Oof.
his nose, and like I had blood all over like my arm, and I just started like licking it in the middle of the ring. And when I came back, the promoter came over to me and said, "Hey, thank you. We're never coming back here because of exactly of what you just did."
Do you like working heel better?
Yeah, I think so. Well, I also like, a fatter, bigger guy. So I guess working as a babyface when most of our roster were like smaller guys,
Smaller guys, yeah, it's harder, right?
yeah, it would be hard for me to be a babyface.
Yeah.
So being a heel was always natural.
Okay. Do you have a favorite story you like telling from wrestling?
Mm, I mean, I already shared a couple of the crazy ones. Um, I mean, maybe like my favorite one. So from this like backyard wrestling community, there's this guy. He wrestled as Mr. Moonsault,
Hmm.
Mithril, and he actually did some rounds on the indies. And when I worked for Project Wrestling on the very first time, I remember Jeff Yeager. He picked me up in his car. We're going to the flea market, and I say, "So hey, who am I wrestling today?" And he looks at me and like, "Yeah, probably me and Mithril." And I was like a huge fan of backyard wrestling, especially being a backyard wrestler myself and watching all these guys. And even to this day, I have a favorite music video of Mithril that I watch almost like religiously every
Hmm.
couple of months or at least once a year. And it was actually a match against Ricky Shane Page. And yeah, and he told me Mithril, and I'm like, is that the guy I'm thinking of? He said yes, and it was just a mark out moment for me. And I said, "Hey Jeff, I don't care, but I'm taking the moonsault
Yeah.
because Mithril is actually even bigger than me. I think at the time he was like way like up 400 pounds or something,
And
and
doing
he
the
would take the
moonsault.
moonsault from the top. Yeah,
Oh, oh man.
so I told I'm taking the moonsault, and that's
You ever do anything stupid in your backyard days that you look back now like, damn, I should have never done that?
oh yeah. One time, well, first of all, my first mistake was never getting knee pads
Hmm.
as soon as possible because a guy was trying to give me a vertical suplex, and I guess his balance was off, and we started like crashing down. And I remember in the middle of falling, I'm thinking, okay, I either drop on my head or I got to do something. So of course I put my knees out and I blew my right knee, and it still gives me problems to this day. Um, and the other one was the bump where I felt all of my neck crunch. I remember it was like this backyard show, and we were doing it at the gymnasium.
Hmm.
Well, not like a gymnasium; it's like a gym for parkour. They
Okay.
train parkour there, and they had like these huge like soft cubes that you can jump on.
Hmm.
And I remember me and my friend, we were like talking. We were the main event, of course, as if it matters. And I said, "Hey, what if like we go there? There was like this huge wooden structure with the soft pit, like where you can fall from high places." But I was like, "But I will throw you off of it into this cube, and you will like just fall on the ground." And we
Yeah.
were like, "Yeah, okay." Then the first match happens, and during the first match, guys do this exact spot. So I'm kind of like looking at him, and I'm like, "Well, we either like cut it out or we need to do something cooler." And I suggested that I do a DVD, which is one of my like signature moves, but I didn't think it through. And basically when we landed with the into the cube, we started like going backwards,
Hmm.
and I was just like went there with my head on the floor and just like
Yeah.
yeah, it was super stupid. I still like remember just laying there and thinking, what if I broke my neck just
Yeah.
right now?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
I got some.
those are like
But
two of the most scariest things I did.
yeah, I got a couple of names for you. Put them over, bury them, whatever you want to do from the Ukrainian wrestling arena. And forgive me because I'm probably gonna mess up their names completely. Yaroslav.
Yes, Yaroslav is he's actually a nice guy. He's like ladies man. He comes out to the ring, and he sings the "Baby Don't Hurt Me"
Okay.
in the microphone. So all the ladies love him. Yeah, he's a really cool guy.
Yeah.
He's definitely one of my favorites, and I always like whenever he messages me about like some tips and tricks, I'm always ready to help him.
He sings that in English or in Ukrainian?
He sings in English. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. What about Ivan San?
Ivan San, yeah, he's like this. He started as a interviewer, like a and a ring announcer, I think. And then he transitioned into wrestling. He still has a lot of stuff to work on, but he really has this like underdog energy.
Hmm.
He's like crowd the crowd of the fans that go each show. They really love the guy. Like even though he lacks in the in-ring skill, he's like our little Hulk Hogan. Like
Okay.
he even rips his shirt, and it's always like a huge pop at the show.
All right.
But he's a
What?
nice guy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What about Konstantin Niez?
Uh, I actually never spoke with him.
Okay.
He's like a general manager of a show,
Hmm.
so I don't really have much to say about him. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
All right, you're good. Andre Gadai?
Andrei
Andre.
Haidai.
There you go. How you say that? Haidai?
Haidai.
Haidai. Okay.
He's a weirdo. He is definitely like a character. I wish I knew him in person. He's
Hmm.
one of the newer guys whom I haven't met, but from my interactions with him online, I think I would have a blast just like
Okay.
being in his presence
Yeah.
and just listening to his stories and stuff he does.
All right. And last one I got here is Dimitri Shamrai. Shamrai?
Yes, Dmitry Shamrai, but
Sure.
his nickname is Gambit,
Gambit. Okay.
and he's like this cowboy slash X-Men Gambit kind
Okay.
of guy. I think his favorite wrestler is Adam Page, and that's whom he copies a lot.
Hmm.
But he doesn't take all of his stuff from one guy. He's actually really smart, and his like approach to wrestling, like I think he tops mine because like he's super meticulous. Like he has like his whole arsenal of moves written out. Like he has like these bunch of ideas that he wants to try. He's super good. I think he's gonna be like one of the main stars if he keeps at it.
That's a cool A cowboy mixed with Gambit. That's so intriguing to see what that's all about.
Yeah, and he's like super athletic. So I think his matches are always like show stealers.
Is that you kind of picked to be the next breakout guy, or is there somebody else that you have your eye on that thinks going to make a big splash over there in Ukraine?
I think both. Yeah, I think people not only love him, but I also love the guy, and I think he really gonna make, he's gonna be pretty good very soon. He is
All right.
already good, but
Yeah.
he's gonna get just better and better.
Okay. Before I let you know go, because I know it's late out there. What's one
I
thing you
mean, it's all right.
yeah. What's one thing that you know now that you wish you knew when you first started?
Mm, I wish I would tell myself to maybe wait with backyard wrestling, not do it as much. Just wait a little bit and get out to Belarus or even like outside, like somewhere in Europe, and just train in a professional school. Because I think I hurt some of my. I took a lot of bumps in the backyard wrestling, and I don't think they made me smarter. They only
Yeah.
made me dumber.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would love to. I don't regret it much, but I would love to maybe play it out a little bit differently.
Yeah, not beat yourself up because I had a couple guys that kind of start interviewed before that started off like that, and they say kind of the same thing. I wish I would never did so much so early on because it didn't pay off. It did nothing for me. All it did was hurt me in the long run.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's just. I mean, it was fun, but probably not worth it, to be honest.
Got another one for you. What do you think has been your biggest moment so far in your career?
Well, I guess wrestling on national TV at the Got Talent Ukraine is definitely one of them. I think so far nothing tops that. And the other one was wrestling Mithril in the United States, which is also was like a huge check mark for myself. But yeah, I think those are two biggest ones.
Okay. What's your finisher?
My finisher is the pump handle sit out power bomb, the kind of like Rhea Ripley does, but I do it. She does it like just on landing on her knees, and I land on my ass.
Okay.
Yeah, and I used to call it Suka Bomba, which is nod to my old nickname, but I'm thinking to changing it to Palabrota Bomba. And Palabrota in Spanish is curse word.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's kind of silly, but that's what I have so far.
Okay. You got any what's the best piece of advice anyone gave you in the business?
Um, One of my favorite advices that I recently got was to make a Google Drive and have it publicly available, or
Mhm.
just like available through link. So when you share it with someone, you don't need them to ask your like email. Make
Yeah.
it public and put your full matches, promos, highlight reel, entrance music, photos there. Something that you can send to a promoter, and they can not only see their stuff. Like if they want to see your match, it's there. If they want to see your highlight reel, it's there. But also if they want to book you, they don't need to wait for you to send them a promo picture. It's
Yeah.
already there.
Okay. That's smart. That's
That's
smart. You
really. Yeah.
use the technology to your advantage. When
Exactly.
when was your last match?
So my last match was right before war started,
Hmm.
like 2 months before. It was in December of 2021.
Okay. So what are you doing now
Yeah.
to get ready to get back in?
I started hitting gym pretty regularly, and I'm also gonna take some wrestling seminars soon. And besides that, I'm messaging all the local promotions and asking if I can come over and train. But
Yeah.
also, preferably, if they don't want to book me right away, at least make it around the wrestling show so that
Hmm.
I can help out, and just show them that I'm there to help, not just to wrestle.
Yeah.
So yeah, that and not everyone replied back yet, but it's in progress. Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. You got to reach out. You got to put yourself out there. They're not going to come to you.
Yeah, I listened to some Mike Bailey videos, and he shared a lot of really good stuff about social media, like how to promote yourself. And lately I've been just sitting on my phone with the Instagram, finding new people, and like not finding the WWE stars to subscribe to. No, I'm trying to find up and coming wrestlers,
Mm-hmm.
same level as me basically, and like interact with them to kind of show them that I'm there for them, because wrestling, we need to help each other, just
Yeah.
like with the podcast,
Yeah.
like
Yeah. And that's the thing too, is you can't. I never been in a ring. Like I used to wrestle in high school, but not like amateur wrestling. And you can run on the treadmill all day, but it's not the same thing as going out there and like getting on the mat and running the ropes, and like that's a whole nother level of getting fit and getting your
oh
your
yeah,
breath in. Because again, you can ride a bike for 20,000 miles, but it's not the same thing as that start and stop of wrestling.
yeah, absolutely. I have a friend. He uh he actually went to Germany and trained there and wrestled. But even before that, when he started with us in Ukraine in backyard days, I remember when we got to Belarus and he got into the ring, he was like super athletic. And he has always been super athletic. Like he's a crazy person. Like he would get up, he would go train and like do a basketball game, then he would do hockey, then he would go to the gym, he would go for work. After work, he has another basketball like game. Like
Yeah,
his whole day, like super active, and he goes from place to place on his bike. So just super athletic guy. He got into the ring, started doing the drills, ropes. He was blown up like
yeah,
just almost immediately, because it's like completely different beast in the
yeah.
ring.
What's some advice you give somebody that just getting started off?
Definitely get trained, and try not to do crazy stuff. Learn how to work the crowd, how to involve them. Like simplest shit still works, and you don't even need to do crazy stuff. Leave it for later when you get on a high level
Yeah.
and you think that it will really help you to do this crazy thing. Then you do it, but
Yeah.
don't do it starting out.
Yeah, and that's what, again, what many of the wrestlers I've had on here say the same thing, is less is more sometimes. Like, sometimes you'll
Yeah.
get a bigger reaction. Just like I had a guy, Dirty Devin Diaz, who has a mullet, and he's kind of like a throwback to like the 80s guys. He comes out smoking a cigarette, and he says sometimes he gets the bigger reaction just flipping back his mullet in the middle of the ring than like doing the
Hmm.
tope suicide or dive off the top rope. Like, it's some of the times it's the smallest stuff that pops the crowd compared to doing these crazy outrageous moves.
Yeah, because even just in the local scene, like when we just moved to Spain, I was kind of scouting local stuff, and we went to a small show in Malaga. And I remember guys, they were doing jumps outside that got zero reaction from
Yeah.
people. And I was just standing there, and I was like, I barely contained myself from coming over and saying, like, guys, just stop, do something, much simpler.
Yeah.
I guess they were just green or whatever. So, I mean, it's okay, but I hope they learned from that.
It's no sense of killing yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Like he jumps outside and people are like completely silent.
Yeah.
Even though like half a minute ago they were reacting to just punches and stuff
Yeah.
inside the ring.
Yeah.
So it's like, what's the point?
Yeah. You had any embarrassing moments in the ring?
Embarrassing moments. Actually,
You haven't shit yourself or anything like that, right?
no. I have two.
Okay.
One time I remember we had a lot of kids in the crowd, and the promoter asked, like, "Hey guys, let's try to tone it down today. Maybe like no curse words or whatever." And we're like, yeah, of course. And my music hits. I'm getting in the zone. I get out. I turn around. These kids, there are a couple of kids sitting there, and I just go, like, like
Yeah.
jerk off on them. And I remember like taking few steps away and then thinking, of course, the
Yep.
first
Yep.
thing I do. But I mean, promoter was okay with that. In the end, he was like, of course, it's you who did that. And the other embarrassing moment, I remember I hurt my knee for another time, and it just started to heal up. And we wrestled this match. Everything goes fine. We win. And after we like hug, I like do like small jump, just like in the moment,
Mhm.
and I hear my right knee crack,
Oof.
and I hurt it for another couple of weeks. And it was the
Yeah.
stupidest thing. Go through a match, everything's fine, do a little jump, and hurt my knee again.
Yeah. Is there a translation for that wrestling dude in Ukraine? In Ukrainian? Ukraine? How, what's the language? You speak Ukrainian, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm from the eastern part, and like I grew up speaking Russian, but I
Okay.
still know Ukrainian, and there are a lot of people who, because Russia attacked Ukraine,
Mm-hmm.
they started okay, we're not speaking Russian anymore, we're speaking Ukrainian,
Mm-hmm.
and I respect that absolutely. And with the people who speak Ukrainian, I speak Ukrainian, but like in my real life, like say with my wife, we still speak Russian.
Russian,
But
yeah.
if necessary, we speak Ukrainian. It's not a problem.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm sorry, I just didn't catch your question. What translation?
That wrestling dude.
How you translate it? Цей реслінг чувак.
Okay. Say it again.
Цей реслінг чувак.
Okay. Okay. I'm learning.
Yeah.
All right. I got last question for real before I let you go. One thing if you can accomplish this year, what would it be?
Get back in the ring and just get my calendar full. That would be really great.
Book them. Come on, you Spaniards.
Yeah, I
Get them
mean,
on your
I'm
show.
reaching out. I'm reaching out to everyone. I'm like, I will travel. I will do, whatever you want from me. Just let me wrestle for you.
Is wrestling big in Spain?
Yeah, I mean, lately it's been much better.
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest factor that went into Spain wrestling, getting up there was Axiom getting signed.
Okay.
I think he really brought a lot of eyes to the Spanish wrestling scene, and
Yeah.
especially in Barcelona, they started working with the Rev Pro from
Mm-hmm.
UK.
Yep.
They started working with the OTT in Ireland and just like going places. One of their guys, Zazaya, he actually wrestled a tour in Pro Wrestling Noah recently. He wrestled for WXW, and I think he has a WWE tryout. Or
Okay.
maybe he's already signed to WWE ID. I'm not really sure. But
Okay.
he's like super close there. Yeah,
That's cool.
so yeah, I mean, I really want to be a part of that.
Yeah. It's coming your way. I feel it.
I hope. I
Yeah.
hope.
Yeah. Where can the people find you at? Go ahead and put your stuff out there.
So I mostly post on Instagram, which is Koby_wrestling. I have a Twitter. I don't. I just started using it. Like, I mean, I used it before, but I just recently made myself a new wrestling account, which
Mm-hmm.
is Wrestling. No, it's actually Jacoby_wrestle,
Mm-hmm.
because my nickname with wrestling was too long, so I had to come up with something different.
Yeah.
And obviously, my guys back in Ukraine, UWA_Ukraine,
Mm-hmm.
um, they really do a lot of good stuff right now. Crowds is great, the production is great. I mean, you can watch their shows and be like, come on, these guys should be wrestling everywhere around
Yeah.
Europe. But because of the war, they are kind of stuck there.
Yeah. I love that you called it Twitter. Fuck you, Elon Musk and
Yeah,
X.
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
will never call it X. It's
it's so
the best idea
stupid.
he ever had. Yeah, and because Elon Musk is so like crazy idiot, I don't care personally.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Isn't it crazy that everyone in the world knows that, but for some reason half the Americans don't? Like, what's wrong with us over here? Something in the water. Something in the water.
Yeah, I mean, I know people who still like him, which
Yeah.
is like crazy to me,
Yeah.
but whatever.
Yeah.
It's
Jake,
so
go ahead.
stupid.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks for coming on, man. I really appreciate it. I know it's late there. Again, man, really appreciate it. Had a blast talking to you. Go follow him. You Spanish bookers, you German bookers, anyone out there, because he can hop on the train, go anywhere in Europe, wherever you want him to go.
Yep.
Put him on your shows, man. Good ass dude, man. Again, thank you for coming on.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. It
Absolutely.
was my pleasure.
Absolutely. Thank you, man. Everyone like and subscribe. Unforgettable Vision. Go check out the merch. You guys have a great night. Thank you again, Jake.
Thanks.